And the headline here is PlayStation's putting $300 million more into first-party games and aiming for, quote, multiple platforms. So this is from IGN. It says Sony investing $300 million into first-party PlayStation studios as a two-pronged strategy to grow its gaming business alongside releasing games on multiple platforms. Their investment is for developing software at existing studios such as God of War's Santa Monica studio or Horizon Forbidden West Guerrilla Games. And this is separate dollars to their acquisition plan. So $300 million, $308 million more to increase software development or to pay for software development expenses for their first party software. I mean, obviously, guys, I'm curious where you stand on this in terms of, do we think this is essentially a statement saying there's going to be more exclusives? Is it what is the message here from Sony? Because I almost want to ask you guys what you think of a two-pronged strategy to begin with, right? Should they be focusing only on first party? Should they be investing in games that are on multiple platforms? Where do you think they should be putting dollars, and what do you think of what this investment means specifically for Sony's future plans?
Well, I'm interested why you would think that this is some type of strategy to strengthen the exclusive titles that they have under their belt when it says that they're aiming for multiple platforms. To me, it sounds more like they're hedging against that, where, the Microsoft acquisition, for example, I think has them shook. And now they're like, hey, we need to get involved in more games that are cross-platform, which isn't traditionally Sony's MO, right? They were one of the last at the table to allow that cross-platform play, is my understanding. So now they're trying to be more involved in games that are cross-platform to kind of prevent Microsoft or any of their competitors from taking games away from them, was how I interpreted it. It was kind of the opposite of how you phrased the question.
But you don't. So you think this is not disingenuous in any way? Because what they're saying can feel somewhat contradictory, right? We're going to put $300 million into our first party studios, but those studios are going to deploy the games that they make on multiple platforms like Xbox, right? They didn't say like Xbox, but I'm adding that at the end.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they're going to make money from it regardless, right? And $300 million for something like this is not all that much, is it? I mean, is anyone blown away by that amount? Am I wrong to think that it should be a lot more?
I think you're pretty much spot on, actually, with the fact. I think it's as simple as they're putting more games on PC, and they probably need to invest the resources to have the capacity, the ability and capacity to do that. And I think, to your point, it's a smart strategy, and it probably is in response to maybe saying, oh, okay, wow, maybe Activision is quote unquote winning the console war, and this, we need to pivot and kind of maybe we want to start putting software more places, because if we're going to lose the next console war, we might as well have really good IP, really good software. That way, if someone has Xbox and they want to play God of War, they're going to be able to do it on PC. It's actually a really smart strategy. Think about it that way.
Can I put my tinfoil hat on here? Between the last story and this story, is no one thinking maybe Nintendo and Sony in the next 10 years get out of the hardware business altogether, and Xbox and Microsoft is the only one left standing building hardware, dedicated gaming hardware as a console? Other than there will still be mobile, there will still be PC, but that dedicated console space, it feels a little bit like this is tipping their hand long term that maybe Sony and Nintendo want out of the hardware business.
So Nintendo should definitely be out of the hardware business. I think their software would be, if they could get it onto more consoles, I think their margins would be better, and we wouldn't have that console cycle pressure. So I think that's not that controversial of a take. If anything, I kind of think that Sony should be the one in the hardware business and Microsoft not, right? Because Microsoft, their whole business is it's Microsoft. They're literally a software. They are the software company on the planet. So they almost it's odd that they're in the hardware game, whereas Sony, their heritage is consumer electronics. So they seem to me to have the hardware in their DNA a lot more than Microsoft does, and Microsoft is all about subscription and xCloud and all that. So I don't know. Maybe Sony makes the hardware and then they run it on Microsoft servers and everyone's just all friends. I don't know.
Well, here's the hot take, and I want chat to chime in on this. I'll give you the hot take. In 10 years, none of them are making hardware. Not Microsoft, not Sony, not Nintendo. None of those three are making dedicated hardware.
That is a hot
What are we playing on?
You're playing on your phone or on your PC, but obviously Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo all still making games, just not for their own dedicated hardware platforms. Because we talked about Microsoft last week, right, on the live stream. You look at where hardware fits into their revenue stack, like it's only almost inconsequential, right? Doesn't move the needle. It's not profitable. If I'm them, I don't want to be in that business. Nintendo sounds like they don't want to be in that business. Sony sounds sort of like they don't want to be in that business. In 10 years, I'm telling you, none of them are in that business. No one's building dedicated hardware 10 years from now. Adam says, happy Wednesday, friends. Adam, welcome. Great to see you here. Chris says, very NA attitude there, boys and girls. Nintendo has Japan on lock. Why let that go to their competitors? General audiences don't play on PC. But Chris, they're going to play on mobile. Japanese gamers will play Nintendo games on mobile. 10 years from now? I don't disagree with you, but why? Where did mobile? Mobile's not going anywhere, unfortunately. Right? You all have phones.
We're all going to be in the metaverse by that point. So,
Adam says, make it 11 years and I'll buy it. All right, Adam, fine. 11 years. Okay. In 11 years, no one's making hardware. Do none of you agree? No one agrees.
Just sad. It's bold, but sad. Sorry, Lindsay. It looked like you were about to say.
No, go ahead.
Not much more. Honestly, not much more other than that. Just sounds really dark. Like, why would they give that up? I don't know. I mean, maybe if they eventually, I would see them more so getting into hardware space, like building TVs that have this kind of functionality. And that it depends a lot on cloud-based gaming, I guess. Depends on how fast the phone hardware takes us. I just don't see PC gamer, everyone that owns a console going to PC. The mobile argument is strong if the mobile tech catches up to where we think that goes.
Jimmy, you'll be able to play it on your TV.
Right.
The point is, it'll be streamed, it'll be cloud, it'll be something. You won't need the box sitting on your coffee table, your whatever you put the thing you put under your TV is called.
But that. So I guess maybe I'll push back on depending on what you mean. Like there still is going to have to be a console in the cloud, right? So even with xCloud right now, it's like somewhere sitting in Microsoft servers, there's like an Xbox basically.
Yeah, but Microsoft's not building hardware. That's a generic data center, right? But
Microsoft is building that. I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's like
it's not. They're not building dedicated hardware. These are servers running NVIDIA GPUs and Intel processors, right? Like. Or AMD processors. This is not, custom hardware that has to be, UL tested and has to be this because it has to go in your living room. And like this is a totally different thing than building a piece of hardware that goes in little Timmy's bedroom.
Sure.
Lindsay, you were going to say something.
No, I think it's an interesting thought, but I don't know if I can fully jump on board with nobody's going to be making it, but I do think that consoles are going to look a lot different. And I think that there's going to be a lot more with goggles and wearables and other things that aren't the traditional consoles that we think of. I don't know if these companies will pivot to making those. I could see maybe some pivoting and some not, depending on the resource and the interest. But I definitely do think that the traditional console as a whole is on its way out.
100% agree. I think that's super insightful. Antonio says, not happening. Consoles are more affordable. Antonio, I'm not saying there won't be an affordable option, right? You'll pay $15 a month for Game Pass and you'll still be able to play your game, a Microsoft game on your TV. There just won't be a piece of hardware sitting under the TV that you'll have to buy.
$300. Yeah.
Yeah. Antonio says, for your average gamer, no one wants to play on your phone for hours. Again, I think I'm not saying it's only going to be, there will still be the kind of gaming everyone does on consoles today, just without those companies having to make hardware. Chris says, so per Paul, everyone invest in NVIDIA because they're the only company able to eliminate all the consoles. Chris, I think everyone should be invested in NVIDIA for reasons beyond just consoles. I mean, this is a company that basically has a monopoly on a segment of the market that is powering everything from gaming, metaverses to AI to,